What if I told you that you can run AI completely for free on your computer with no subscription, no account, and nothing ever sent to the internet? It's not some watered down version of AI, it's real, capable language models. The same kind of models that power tools like ChatGPT running entirely on your machine. That's what Ollama is. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what it is, how it works, and what you can actually do with it. I'm going to be straight with you about the trade-offs too. Local AI isn't always better than cloud AI. There are real differences and I want you to understand them so you can make the right choice for your situation. This is video 1 of a series where we're going to build real things with Ollama, from a simple chat assistant all the way up to a private document analyst tool and automated workflows that run entirely on your own machine. We're filming everything on a desktop with an RTX 3070, so you'll see what real GPU accelerated local AI actually looks and feels like. Let's start from the beginning. Before we talk about what Ollama is, I want to make sure you understand what actually happens every time you use ChatGPT, Claude, or any cloud AI tool. Most people think it's like a calculator. You type something in, a computer nearby does some maths, and then the answer comes back. That's not really what actually happens. Here's what actually happens. When you type a message into ChatGPT, that message leaves your computer immediately. It travels over the internet to a data center. That data center could be anywhere. It could be in Canada, America, or a facility somewhere in Europe. At that data center, your message gets processed by an enormous AI model running on hardware that costs millions of dollars. The response gets generated, and then it travels back to you over the internet. That whole thing happens in a second or two, which is why it feels instantaneous, but it's not local. It's a round trip across the internet every single time. Now, I want to be clear, this isn't inherently bad. Cloud AI is incredibly convenient and the models are genuinely excellent. But there are 3 real problems with this model that affect a lot of people and nobody really talks about them honestly. Problem 1 is cost, and I want to put some numbers on this because it's easy to dismiss $20 a month as not much until you add it up. ChatGPT Plus is $20 a month. Claude Pro is $20 a month. If you use Midjourney for images, that's another $10. Perplexity is another $20. If you're a professional using multiple AI tools, which most people who are serious about this end up doing, you're looking at $50 to $100 a month minimum. That's $600 to $1,200 a year, every year, forever. And those prices have been going up. Problem 2 is privacy. This one matters a lot more than most people think about. When you paste a confidential client contract into ChatGPT, that document leaves your machine. When you ask Claude to help you with a business strategy that you haven't announced yet, that conversation goes to Anthropic servers. Most of these companies state in their terms that they may use your conversations to improve their models. For a lot of professionals, this is simply not acceptable. Lawyers cannot use cloud AI with privileged client information. Healthcare workers cannot use it with patient data. Finance teams cannot use it with unreleased earning information. That list goes on. And even if you're not in one of those fields, do you really want your business strategies, your personal emails, your private conversations sitting on someone else's computer? And problem 3 is dependency. When you rely entirely on cloud AI, you're at the mercy of someone else's infrastructure, pricing, and decisions. If their servers go down, you lose access. If they change their pricing, and they will, you either pay more or lose access. If they depreciate the model you've built your whole workflow around, and this has already happened with ChatGPT 3, your workflow breaks. You have zero control. You're renting your tools from someone who can change the terms at any time. So what is Ollama? Here's the simplest way I can put it. Ollama is a free, open source tool that lets you download and run AI language models directly on your own computer, completely offline with no account, no subscription, and no data ever leaving your machine. That's it, that's the whole thing. But let me break down what that actually means because there are 3 different ways to think about what Ollama does. First, Ollama is a runner. AI models are complicated to set up from scratch. Getting them to run on a regular computer without a supercomputer level GPU used to require significant technical knowledge. You'd have to configure drivers, manage memory allocation, and all sorts of low level stuff. Ollama handles all of that for you. You just tell it what model you want to run, and it handles every technical detail underneath. You never have to think about any of it. Second, Ollama is a library. And when I say library, I mean it literally has a collection of AI models you can download, like an app store for AI models. Llama from Meta, Mistral, DeepSeek, Gemma from Google, Phi from Microsoft, dozens of different models, all open source, all completely free. Different models are better at different things. We'll cover how to choose between them in future videos. And third, and this is what makes Ollama so powerful for building things, it runs as a local server on your computer. That means other applications can talk to it. You can connect it to a beautiful chat interface that looks just like ChatGPT. You can build your own apps that use it as the AI brain. You can even integrate it with automation tools. It's not just a chat box, it's an API running on your own machine. Now let me explain what actually happens under the hood when you run Ollama. I want to do this in plain English because understanding it will make you so much better at using it. When you download a model with Ollama, it saves a file to your computer. That file contains the model, all of its knowledge, all of its capabilities, encoded as billions of numbers called parameters. A 7 billion parameter model has 7 billion of these numbers. A bigger model has more numbers and is generally more capable, but also takes more space and more processing power to run. That file can be anywhere from 2 gigabytes for a small model to 20 to 30 gigabytes for a large one. Once it's downloaded, Ollama never needs the internet again. That file is your AI. When you send a message, Ollama loads that model into your computer's RAM, your working memory, and then runs calculations using your processor. What it's actually doing is predicting, one word at a time, what the most likely next word is in the response. Every single word you see appearing in the output is the result of a separate calculation. This is why the responses stream out word by word instead of appearing all at once. The model has learned these predictions from training on an enormous amount of text, from books, websites, code, and conversations. So it's very good at predicting what a useful, coherent response looks like. But it's worth understanding that it's fundamentally a very sophisticated prediction machine, not a thing that knows things in a way a human does. The speed you get depends almost entirely on your own hardware, specifically on whether the model fits in your GPU's VRAM. On this desktop with an RTX 3070, a 7 billion parameter model runs entirely in the VRAM and generates 50 to 60 tokens per second, fast enough that it feels instant. A laptop, however, with no dedicated GPU would run the same model on the CPU at 5 to 15 tokens per second. Both work, but the experience is quite different. We'll show the real numbers on this hardware in the next video. Let's talk about models, because this is the part that trips up a lot of beginners and most tutorials just gloss over it. Ollama is the DVD player. The models are the DVDs. The player doesn't do anything without a disk, and the disk needs a player to run. Ollama can run any compatible model, and there are hundreds of them. The most popular model family right now is Llama, made by Meta, the same company behind Facebook. It's fully open source and comes in different sizes. The 3B version, that B stands for billion parameters, is small and very fast, great for laptops with limited power. The 8B version is more capable and runs reasonably well on most machines. Mistral is a French AI company that makes excellent models, particularly good at writing and summarizing. DeepSeek is a Chinese AI lab that recently released models that shocked the industry with their reasoning abilities, and they run locally on Ollama. Gemma is Google's open source model, Phi is Microsoft's. Both are good, and both are small enough to run on limited hardware. Here's the thing I want to take away. Bigger is not always better. If you have a laptop with 8 gigabytes of RAM and no dedicated GPU, running a 70 billion parameter model is going to be painfully slow and simply not possible. But a 3 to 7 billion parameter model will run just fine and is more than capable enough for most tasks. Picking the right model for your hardware is more important than picking the most powerful model. We'll go deep on this in video 3, but for now, just know that the 3 billion parameter version of Llama is a great starting point for almost everyone. Alright, let's do an honest comparison between cloud AI and local AI, because I want to be real with you about both sides. I see a lot of content that either hypes up cloud AI and ignores local completely, or goes too far the other way and pretends local AI is always the answer, and neither is true. Cost. Local AI wins clearly. Ollama is completely free. Once you've downloaded the model, there are no ongoing costs. You can run it a million times a day and your bill is zero. Privacy. Local AI wins clearly. Nothing leaves your machine, ever. Full stop. Internet requirement. Local AI wins. After the initial download, no internet is needed. You can use it on a plane, in a location with no signal, completely offline. But here's where I want to be honest. Response speed. Cloud AI wins for most people. OpenAI has purpose-built hardware with the most powerful GPUs available. If you're on a laptop without a dedicated GPU, your local response will be slower. Not unusable, but slower. Model quality. Cloud AI wins right now. ChatGPT 4 and Claude 3.5 Sonnet are still more capable than what you can run locally on typical consumer hardware. But the gap is closing fast, and for many tasks you won't notice a difference. But for the hard reasoning tasks, the frontier cloud models are still ahead. And setup. Cloud AI wins. Signing up for ChatGPT takes 2 minutes. Setting up Ollama takes 5 to 10. Still pretty simple, but it's not zero effort. So the honest answer is use Cloud AI when you need maximum quality and speed and you're not dealing with sensitive data. Use Ollama when you care about privacy, want to eliminate ongoing cost, need offline access, or want to build custom applications without API fees. Many people end up using both, Cloud AI for some things and local AI for others. Okay, let's get concrete. What can you actually do with Ollama? I'm going to walk through 6 use cases, and these aren't theoretical. Every single one of these is something we're going to build in this series. Private document analysis. You take a contract, a report, a sensitive business document, paste it in, ask questions about it, and get answers. Nothing leaves your machine. If you work with confidential information, this alone is worth setting up Ollama for. Local coding assistant. Ollama runs code optimized models that suggest code, debug errors, explain what a piece of code does, and generate scripts. Works offline, no API costs, completely private. If you're a developer or learning to code, this is huge. Custom AI assistants. Because Ollama runs as a local API, you can build a chatbot that knows specifically about your business, your products, your policies, your FAQs, and runs entirely on your server. No per query API cost ever. For a business owner, this is where local AI gets really interesting from a financial perspective. Knowledge-based question and answer. Feed Ollama your documentation, your research notes, your personal knowledge library. Ask it questions and it answers based on what you gave it, not based on what it learned during training. This is how you build a truly personalized AI assistant. Automated workflows. Because Ollama has an API, you can connect it to automation tools like N8N or Make. Summarize incoming emails, classify support tickets, generate reports from raw data. All of this at zero ongoing cost. Once your automation is set up, it runs forever for free. And finally, learning and experimentation. This might sound simple, but it's genuinely valuable. When AI runs locally and costs nothing per query, you can experiment freely, break things, try different models, tweak settings, test prompts. You're not watching a cost meter tick up while you figure things out. Let's talk hardware, because this is the question I get asked more than anything else when people find out about local AI. The good news, you probably already have enough to get started right now. The better news, if you have a gaming desktop or a mid-range GPU, you're going to have a genuinely great experience, not a compromised one. Tier 1, a laptop with no dedicated GPU. Integrated graphics, 8 to 16 gigabytes of RAM. Does it work? Yes, absolutely. You'll be CPU only, which is slower, maybe 3 to 15 tokens per second. But the 3 billion parameter version of Llama or Phi 3 runs fine on this hardware. If that's all you have, do not let it stop you. Start there. Tier 2, and this is where this series sits. A desktop with a dedicated GPU. I'm currently running an RTX 3070 with 8GB of VRAM paired with a Ryzen 7 9800X 3D and 32GB of DDR5. On this hardware, 7 billion and 13 billion parameter models run at full GPU speed. We're talking 30 to 60 tokens per second on a 7 billion parameter model. That's fast enough that responses feel snappy and natural. DeepSeek, Mistral, Llama 3.18b, all of them run comfortably. This is genuinely the sweet spot. You get real speed, you can run all the mainstream models, and the experience is nothing like the compromised slower version some people picture when they think local AI. And Tier 3, high-end. Cards like the RTX 5090 and 4090 with 32 and 24GB of VRAM, or even an RTX 5080, 5070 Ti, or AMD's 9070 XT, which I'm currently looking to upgrade to. At this level, you can run 30 billion or even 70 billion parameter models entirely in VRAM. That last part matters. When a model fits entirely in your GPU's VRAM, it runs at full speed. When it spills over into system RAM, it slows down significantly. More VRAM equals bigger models at full speed. 70 billion parameters locally. That's the size of the model many people consider approaching frontier model quality. That used to require a data center. Soon it'll run on consumer graphics cards on your desktop. For this series specifically, everything I demonstrate will be on an RTX 3070. I'll always note exactly which model I'm using and what speeds I'm getting so you can calibrate for your own hardware. Before I wrap up, I want to show you the bigger picture, because Ollama running on its own is just a starting point. Because Ollama runs as a local server, you can connect it to a whole ecosystem of other tools. Open Web UI gives you a beautiful ChatGPT interface running entirely on your own machine. Anything LLM, lets you chat with your documents privately. Continue.dev integrates Ollama directly into your code editor as an AI assistant, and N8N or Make can connect it to automated workflows. Every one of these is a future video in the series. We're going to build all of it. Here's where we're going. Next video is the install and first run. I'll show you exactly how to get Ollama set up on Windows, download your first model, and have your first conversation. We'll be running this on an RTX 3070 desktop, so you'll see real GPU accelerated inference from the start, and I'll make sure to show you what the numbers look like at each step. Video 3 goes deep on choosing models. We'll actually benchmark several of them on this hardware, so you have real numbers to compare, not just specs from a website. Video 4, we build a private document Q&A tool. Video 5, a full local assistant. Video 6 connects Ollama into an automation workflow, and more. If you made it this far, you now understand more about how local AI actually works than most people who have been using AI tools for years. And that's not an exaggeration. Most people just use the tools without understanding what actually happens underneath. Understanding this stuff is what separates someone who uses AI from someone who can build with it. Now here's what I want you to do. Subscribe and hit the bell. The install video drops soon and we'll be running real GPU inference on this desktop. Drop a comment below. What's the first thing you want to build with Ollama? I'll read every single one. If you found this useful, share it with one person who's currently paying for a ChatGPT subscription every month. They'll thank you. I'll see you in the next one, and thanks for watching.